On the south side of Chicago, O Block's streets held the history of generations. Two boys grew into men there, their connection formed by shared hardship. Davon Bennett, who became known as King Von, and Munna Duke were more than friends. They were brothers, their loyalty a shield from the dangers of their world. They grew up together, their laughter filling the spaces of Parkway Gardens. They were a single unit, a constant presence on the block. Their ambitions were as raw as the city that made them. In their world, people stood together or they fell alone. Von and Duke stood together. When Von's fame grew, his music telling the story of their lives, he did not forget the people with him from the beginning. He gave Munna Duke a heavy diamond-covered O-Block chain. It was a physical sign of their unbreakable connection, a king's gift to his most trusted friend. In his songs, Von's lyrics created clear pictures of their reality. He made his friend immortal with the name King Kong, a reference to Duke's strong presence and firm loyalty. Their existence was full of sharp opposites, with great success on one side and constant danger on the other. The Problems music video showed Von rapping about a shooting. His eyes and a small motion at Duke said much, a quiet admission of the life they led, a life where survival and crime often mixed. Von's death in 2020 was a massive shock. For Duke, it was the loss of a brother, a piece of himself. He talked about Von with respect, remembering him as a genuine person and a real stand-up guy who prized loyalty over everything. The violence that took Von was relentless. The shadow of his death was large, and one after another, the people closest to him were taken by it. The streets that brought them together in life also took them in death. Their tragic story is of two brothers from O Block, their loyalty showing a connection stronger than blood, a connection that even death could not fully break. O Block runs on loyalty, its currency. It separates a follower from a leader, a friend from an enemy. For one man, that loyalty made him a legend. In a story filled with dark twists, that same loyalty would cost him his life. This is the story of Muwop, King Von's most trusted soldier, a man who got so good at the street game that he could never leave it. Charles Liggins, known as Muwop, was not just another face in the O Block crowd. He was different. Other men chased rap careers and social media fame. Muwop built his reputation in the shadows. He was seen as King Von's personal enforcer, the quiet but deadly force who lived the violent life Von rapped about. When Von told stories of sliding on ops and standing over rivals, fans knew he was not just talking. He had soldiers like Muwop ready to turn those words into reality. This reputation made Muwop one of the most feared men in Chicago, a ghost who moved silently until it was time to strike. His path to the top of the street hierarchy started years earlier, during a summer of pure chaos. The summer of 2017 was a turning point for O Block. After the shocking murder of their beloved member T-Roy, a wave of vengeance swept through the gang. They called themselves the Get Back Gang, and their mission was simple: make their rivals pay. It is said that this period was Muwop's true initiation. Whispers on the street grew louder. One name kept coming up in connection with retaliatory hits. The most infamous of these was the case of DeAndre Wallace, better known as Get Right. When he was gunned down in broad daylight, online sleuths immediately pointed fingers. Social media posts from O Block members seemed to celebrate the hit. Pictures of Muwop and another member, C-Thang, were captioned with chilling phrases like, "You better get right or get left." Nothing was ever proven in court. Still, the streets had made their decision. Muwop was no longer just a member, he was a top shooter. What happened next made him even more infamous. The rivalry between O Block and FBG Duck's crew was one of the most bitter in Chicago drill history. It was personal, bloody, and relentless. After King Von's career exploded, the beef reached a boiling point. That's when a shocking rumor began to circulate, one that would change everything. Reports claimed King Von, now rich and very influential, had put a massive $100,000 bounty on FBG Duck's head. This was not just about gang pride anymore, it was business. On a hot day in August 2020, the mission was carried out. FBG Duck was shopping in Chicago's Gold Coast, far from his own neighborhood. Two cars pulled up. Multiple shooters jumped out, unleashing a storm of bullets. It was a brazen public execution, an act meant to send a terrifying message to the entire city. The main target was down. O-Block had claimed its biggest prize. But in their moment of victory, they made a fatal mistake. For a crew known for their street smarts, their downfall came from a simple, almost unbelievable error. The feds, now investigating the high-profile murder, started piecing together the clues. They tracked the rental cars used in the attack. They analyzed endless hours of surveillance footage. That is when they found it. Shortly after the hit on FBG Duck, security cameras captured Muwop walking into a store. He was not just laying low. He was there with his alleged co-defendant, C-Murda, buying him a new shirt. It was a small, careless act, but it was the nail in the coffin. That single piece of footage placed him at the heart of the conspiracy. The man who had allegedly gotten away with so much was about to be brought down by a shopping trip. The feds now had what they needed to dismantle the crew from the top down. The hammer came down hard. The federal government did not just charge them with murder. They hit them with a massive RICO case, a charge typically for organized crime syndicates. Muwop was arrested with C-Thang, C-Murda, and Muna. The feds argued this was not just one hit, but a long-running criminal enterprise dedicated to violence. The evidence was overwhelming, from the surveillance footage to social media posts and cell phone records. During the trial, the full picture of O-Block's ruthless operations was laid bare for the world to see. The verdict was a foregone conclusion. Muwop and his co-defendants were found guilty. The man who had once roamed the streets as a feared enforcer was handed a life sentence. He was destined to spend the rest of his days in a federal prison. Looking back, Muwop's short-lived music career feels like a ghost telling his own story. His songs were not just tracks. They were chilling confessions disguised as entertainment. In his lyrics, he bragged about the street life. He referenced the very acts that would later seal his fate. He rapped about being a shooter since he was young and taking part in drills where witnesses were also hit, a detail many fans connected to the Get Right case. His music was a raw, unfiltered look into his reality, a reality where respect was earned through violence. For a brief moment, he was poised to follow in King Von's footsteps, but his street resume was far more important to him than any record deal. Muwop became the legend he was meant to be. He proved his loyalty to King Von and O-Block in the most definitive way possible. He was feared, respected, and his name will forever be part of drill history. But that glory came at the ultimate price. He is now a ghost in a system that will never let him go, a permanent resident of a concrete jungle far from the one he once ruled. It leaves you with a chilling question. Was that loyalty worth a lifetime in a cage? Or was he just another pawn in a brutal game that has no real winners?